Welcome back to another board game tier list, everybody. This is our presumably last Castle Panic tier list. So today we are doing the monsters, which look like this. So let's give an overview of how these work first, and then go from there. So essentially, these would spawn in the forest ring. At the end of each round, you would draw 2 tiles, and if you got this one, you would roll a die. You get from 1 to 6, and then you put this in the corresponding section in the forest ring. And then each round it would move forward 1 until it eventually hits a castle. Until it hits a castle structure. Once it hits either a wall or a tower, it would take 1 point of damage, and then it would go down to 2, and then it would just keep moving from there until it's destroyed or everything in its path is destroyed. You can also do a bunch of damage to them, so the more hit points, the better. We're going to be doing this tier list from S to F. S is the strongest monster, F is the weakest monster. And certain ones of these have abilities, but not all of them do, so I've played this game a lot, so I will loosely be describing how they work unless I don't remember how they work, and then I'll just read what it says. So, the troll... Okay, so I guess it's just to back up. When I play... This tier list is subjective because I have everything for this game, so these monsters are a little bit easier to kill for me than for some other people that don't have all of the wizard deck, for example. So it will vary, but essentially when I play with all of the expansions. But we are just going to be going... S would be like the best monster in the game, F would be the worst monster in the game, is I guess kind of the range we're going on. So the troll would be... I think the troll is in A. It takes 3 cards to destroy, so I think it's reasonable. Alright, so the boom troll is... I think I mostly know how this one works. The boom troll, when it hits something, it blows up. Yeah, it causes 1 point of damage to all monsters in the same space when destroyed. Self-destructs when it hits the castle structure and destroys all castle structures in that arc. So theoretically, if it hit a wall, it would blow up the thing behind it. So because it is both good and bad for you, and it has the same hit point, it's going to go in A as well. I'm trying to see if there's... Okay, so Elite Troll. Yeah, so Elite Troll, this one is just the same as the Troll, but every time you hit it, or every time you play a hit card against it, you have to roll, and if you roll a 1 or a 2, you don't do the damage. I'm trying to see. I think I'm just going to put this one in A as well. I'm trying to see if this is accurate so far. I think it is. So we'll leave it there. Obviously, this would be the top of A. This would be the bottom. There's also ways to just get around this, though. If you slay it, if you do damage in different ways, you don't have to deal with that. So that's why we're putting it there. All right. So next, let's do these ones. So this is, if you were to draw this, you would draw 3 monster tokens. If you draw this, you'd get 4 monster tokens. Obviously, both of those are really good, so those will be S tier. And then now let's do these ones. Yeah, let's do these ones. Okay, so we have Giant Boulder, Flaming Boulder, and Trebuchet. So Giant Boulder essentially you'd draw it, you'd roll, and then if you got a 1, you would roll it down the first arc, essentially. So it destroys everything in its path, typically, and then it would stop at the first castle structure and destroy that. So if it hits a wall, it would destroy the wall. If it hits a castle, a tower, it would destroy that. And if it hits nothing, it just keeps rolling the entire way through. So this one is is rough, so that's going to be A. The trebuchet is going to be S. This, you just throw it and then you destroy the first. It skips walls and it would destroy the first tower, I believe. That's my memory of how that one works. So that one's very rough. And then flaming boulder is kind of just the same as the boulder. It's close enough that I'm just gonna put it in A. So maybe I'll just spread these out a little bit. So put like one next to like ones. Okay. Next we have let's see where the third one is. Okay, cool. So next we have all three of these. These are siege towers. Let's go over how those work. So the battering ram takes no damage from castle structures or field equipment. The war wagon moves forward, then you roll the die, and then you do whatever it says. So 1 to 3 would move counterclockwise, 4 to 6 would be clockwise. So it goes forward, and then it's essentially just unpredictable. And then the siege tower takes no damage from castle structures or field equipment. It destroys walls, and then it stays on the line, and essentially all the troops can move over in that color. So if it was in red and then it made it to the wall, you could just jump over all the red walls, essentially. And then I believe that these typically come with 2 orcs in them. Yep, so all of these are very, very deadly. These are all going to be S. And now let's do... this one is the climbing troll, just goes over walls. I guess there's too many trolls here, so this one's just going to be A. Trying to see what else we have here. Okay, we have an ogre. This guy just has 4 hit points. A lot of these guys are just really good. So I think the ogre is going to go in S tier. Let's look at these ones. I think there's one more. Let me just find it real quick. Yes. Okay. So the centaur, golem, and cyclops. They each have 3 hit points, but there are places that they can take damage, and then there's places that they can't take damage. If you hit them in a specific spot, then they are just destroyed. Let me see if I... Cyclops. Okay, so the Cyclops, for example, is slain if damaged in the archer ring. So if you look at that right there, it shows that the symbol on the right shows where they can be killed, and then the symbol on the left shows where they can't take any damage. So, honestly, I think these ones are all pretty weak. I'm gonna put these in C because they're essentially 1 hit point if you hit them at the right spot, which you should certainly be hitting them at the right spot. So that's what I think. Okay, let's do these ones. Goblin Cavalry. So I believe this one just moves 2. Yeah, not a big deal. Goblin Saboteur. I don't think this one matters much either, if I'm remembering correctly. Destroyed when it destroys a castle structure or field equipment. For each point of health he had, banish 1 card from the top of each deck in play. Okay, so I think I'm going to give the Goblin Cavalry a B, just because it might actually make it in. The Goblin Saboteur, I feel like, is just a C. Not very good. Okay, let's do all of these 3. Okay, so 1 imp per tower. The imps are just... Well, let me see if I can grab one here. Yeah, right here. Okay, so it'd just be these guys right here. They just have 1 hit point. These wouldn't spawn naturally only from these things, or I guess from certain other things. So at the very beginning of the game, this would be 6 troops, which is pretty big. And they spawn in the same section as the tower that they correlate to. So I'm going to say that's S. You just have to do a lot to adjust for it. So this one's going to be S. Sorry, I'm actually going to do it. Actually, no. This works, yep. Cool. Equalizer. If you have 5 or fewer monsters, add until you have 6. This one can be really bad, so this one's going to be A. And then Wither, banish the top card of the castle deck. This just doesn't do much. That's going to be F. A lot of these I look at as just like off turns. Like nothing even happens when this comes off, which is not good for the bad people. Okay, let's do these two, the forward camp and the barracks. So the barracks, you would put, you'd roll the die, and then this first unit to spawn each round would spawn from the barracks. The forward camp, you would place it in the middle of 2 sections, and then everything that would spawn in that section would spawn in the archer ring instead of the forest ring, which is really good. But again, these two just don't feel... Honestly, the barracks ends up making life a little bit easier because you just know where you're trying to plan for. So I think I'm going to put both of these in C. They do a little bit, but not too much. Now let's go with these 3. Okay, so the Herald is a really weird one. It is part of how you get Argnok to come out in the end. So it's a very weak troop in and of itself, but it serves a purpose. I think I'm just going to put it in F, believe it or not. Just because for a while they don't actually do anything. They just help get him out. Gargoyle is a 2 hit point troop that is flying, so it can only be hit with archers or certain other cards. So that's just going to go in B. And then the Doppelganger, this is a really interesting one. This guy has... he cannot be killed until you kill something else. And then when that thing is killed, it takes the place of Doppelganger. I believe that's how it works. So it's a really cool character. Yeah, it's really cool. So I would say this will just certainly depend on where you are or whatever, but it's... If you're playing on high difficulty, this is difficult because it's just as difficult as everything else, and you might have to wait a little bit to do anything about it. I don't think I want to put it... Actually, yeah, it probably would be an A, so we'll put it in A. Okay. So now let's do these. Is it? I think there's 4. Okay, so there's 4 from the base game. So these ones right here, I believe these are all from the base game. Okay, so the Goblin King is literally just the same as this, where you draw 3 tokens, except you also have to deal with him, which is rough. The Orc Warlord, when he comes into play, everyone in the same color as him would move forward, including him. So that can be very difficult. The Troll Mage is even better than the Orc Warlord because it's everybody in the entire game would move forward, which is very tough. And the Healer, a little bit fuzzy on exactly how the Healer works, but essentially I believe that every time the Healer moves, everybody, maybe just in that section, or maybe everybody in the entire, every monster in the entire map heals 1 damage. So it's one of those 2. It's always written on the board, so you never really have to memorize it. But this one feels a lot weaker. This one's going to go in B. Yep. And then, last but not least, we have the Conjurer. Actually, this is last but not least of the ones that I currently... I broke them into sections, I guess. So, okay, Conjurer. Place in the forest, then roll a die. Place the resulting number of imps in the forest ring, starting with arc number 1. So this is similar to the 1 imp per tower, except, and it could be even better. So because of that, we'll put it in A. So I think I'm going to do this. I'm just trying to keep these separated for the specific way that I play the game. So let's go with some of the weakest ones. All have 1 hit point. The only difference here is that this one is flying, the Phoenix. This is the Goblin, Elite Goblin, and Imp. So this one doesn't even really count, but we'll put it here. And then the Elite Goblin is essentially the same as the Elite Troll, where if you hit it, you have to roll. If you roll 1 or 2, you don't hit it. So All these are going to go in F. Not very significant. Okay. Next, let's do all of these. And we will talk about them once we have them all out here. Okay, so these are kind of just the throwaway ones in my opinion. So, I guess we'll start here. Move, or monsters in the green section move. Oh, also, I guess as a disclaimer, there are way more than one of most of these, such as the boom troll, the boulders. Some of these are specific. Like there's only one siege tower or battering ram or orc warlord. I've only included one copy of each for the sake of time. Okay, so there's multiple copies of these ones. This is just the sample copy. So move, or monsters in blank move 1. So green, blue, red. This just tends not to matter. This tends to feel like an off turn. Yeah, I'm going to put it in F. Because you take the consequences of that one thing, but then there's nothing else that you have to deal with. So, monsters move clockwise. This is even less beneficial than this, because this could actually destroy some structures. This isn't going to do anything. Then this is a roll and move. This doesn't do anything. This is a red plague, so everybody would have to get rid of, I believe, all of their red cards. Or maybe just one of their red cards, but I think it's all. But again, this one doesn't feel like it does anything. Often discarding cards is actually better. So this is going to go here. Then all players discard 1 card. This one can actually hurt you a little bit. But in general, I consider discarding cards a good thing because it lets you draw more cards. Sometimes you get stuck. Okay. Let's look at these two next. We have the orc and then the elite orc. The elite orc is going to go in B. It's just the same as the other elite units. And then, I guess I'll do it like this though. And then the orc is going to go in C. Okay, let's look at, oh, whoops, I have 2 copies of the orc over here. Okay. Let's look at these 3. So these are ones that I haven't used much. They make the game easier, not harder. So let's go with the reserve squad first. Distribute points of damage equal to the current health of the reserve squad to any monster anywhere on the board. So essentially, these are things that they would start in the forest. You would try to move them to you. If you do move them to the castle ring, you would get the benefit. So this one can do some damage. The supply wagon. Each player draws cards equal to the health, and then the stonemason cart, build walls equal to the current health of the cart. So these are kind of cool. I just happen not to use them. They're all going to go in F because obviously they make the game easier for you, not your opponent. So that's why. Okay. Let's do just the craziest guy first. Alright, so Argnok. This is the guy that there is the Herald for. He's really big. There's a bunch of different versions of him. We're not going to go over the different versions. But obviously he's just the best in the game. He's got 8 hit points. Yeah, he's crazy. There's a bunch of stuff about him. He's very good. So he's S, and then we have who do we want to do next? Let's see. Okay, so let's do all of the ones. So we're going to do the Basilisk, Chimera, Dragon, Hydra, Necromancer, and Warlock. Okay. So these are the Mega Boss monsters from the Wizard Towers. These guys are all really cool. Yeah, they're also just all S tier. The Basilisk is when drawn, all players discard to a hand of 2 while all players skip phase 2 of their turns, which I believe is the discard and draw, I believe, or the or the trade, I can't remember. The Chimera is when drawn, breathes fire while in play, moves 1 space counterclockwise, 1 space towards castle ring, breathes fire. So very good. The Dragon is when drawn, breathes fire while in play, moves by die roll. So, and then he is probably going to breathe fire and hurt you a lot. And then the Hydra is for each point of damage you deal to the Hydra, do 2 damage, or 2 imps appear in the forest in the same arc. So, very cool. If you kill the Hydra, though, you can avoid that. So if you just slay it, it can't do that. Necromancer, when drawn, move 2 randomly selected monsters from the discard pile to the monster draw pile. Destroyed when it attacks a structure and returns 1 slain monster from the discard to draw pile for each point remaining. Cool. So he's very good. And then we have the Warlock. When drawn, all players discard 1 wizard card while in play, unaffected by wizard cards, and moves to an arc number by rolling. Sorry. Okay, so essentially every time he would move, he like teleports to a different spot. So he would roll, if you rolled a 5, he'd move to the 5th section and go 1 forward. So he's very good as well. Hope you can still see that. Guess I'll just do this in case. Okay. Now we have a few more. We have the Dark Sorceress, Breathtaker, and Shaman. Okay, so let's go with the Shaman first. While in play, all monsters in the same color as the Shaman, including herself, recover 1 point of health after the Shaman moves. So maybe this is just a one-time heal. I could be wrong. But that is... I just don't think that's huge. So that's going to go in B. Breathtaker. While in play, players may not trade. So yeah, this must be the one that doesn't let you discard. This one doesn't let you trade, which is actually pretty painful. So that is... I don't think it's as good as any of these. I think it would still... Yeah, I think it's still going to be A, because you could... Yeah, I think it's still A. Okay, Dark Sorceress. Let's see if I can find where this one is. Okay. She's a Mega Boss monster. When drawn, all players must discard 1 card of their choice. As long as Dark Sorceress is on the board, the normal hand size is reduced by 1, which is just so good. So that is going to be S as well. So... as you can see, there are a bunch in S. There are a bunch that are just very difficult. There are actually not that many in A, not that many in B, and not that many in C, but there's very few unique characters here. So there's a lot of copies of the trolls and etc. And then there's a big group in F. So when I play the game, I like to get rid of as many of these F things and just not include them in the game, because it just slows it down, and when you play with all the expansions, it takes a while to begin with. So you can customize it, and that's what I like to do. So thanks for watching, everybody.